Well, hello everyone today. My name is Betsy Yusko with Gaylord Area Council of the Arts. And today I'm going to show you a very simple, very elegant piece of jewelry that you can make out of paper. I'm going to show you how to make paper beads, how to make fabric beads, so that they're actually jewelry ready, so that you can have an amazing art piece, an amazing gift for the holiday, an amazing memory gift. But first I would like to thank people here. I'm going to read off of this here. So actually we are hosted, of course, by the Gaylord Area Council of the Arts. We are funded by Michigan Council for the Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts. We would like to especially thank them because without them we would not have this opportunity for the filming to show you how to do these specific arts. So off we go. I'm going to kind of move this to the back here so you still can see it. Now, making paper beads is something that's been out there for quite a long time. The paper beads themselves, you do have to put a finish on them so that they do not disintegrate. So I'm going to kind of have to show you all of that. Now, we all kind of remember how taking a paper clip, as we did when we were kids, and wrapping paper around it and calling that a bead. We're going into a very simple fact that is actually a little bit more extreme and more jewelry worthy. Right here, these are some of the bead bracelets that I do have here at the gallery. And these, as you can see, have a high gloss. They're different sizes, different dimensions, and they definitely do not look like paper. They're hard, very, very hard. So as that, you can wear them almost anywhere. My bracelet itself I've had for about 5 years, and still it looks as good as the day I made it. So off we shall go. Our first step is picking our papers. Everything out there that can be a paper if it's a paper. Here, I found this morning, I looked at this and I thought, oh, I don't want to throw that away. My husband goes crazy because I keep all this extra stuff because of the colors. I pick things because of the colors and because of the design. It's going to be okay if these letters show. It's going to be okay if a part of the sandwich shows. But it will make an amazing bead. It is a little bit thicker than paper, but it's perfect for that. This is something special I got. It was actually a birthday card. If you have a birthday card from somebody special, this was from my aunt. I'm going to make that an amazing bead. And because she gave it to me, I'm going to make it a bead bracelet for her. So that makes it a really memorable gift for her. And add in the paper. You can even use corrugated cardboard. I looked at this. I love the color. So I cut a few pieces. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Of course, magazines. And okay, someone in the family went ahead and bought these. Okay, it was me. They are delicious, but look at the colors here. The colors are amazing. And I did make a bead ahead of time. Look at this bead. You can kind of see the bead right there. Look how beautiful the colors are. It makes an amazing bead. So go on, pick up magazines. Here we go here. These are going to be harder beads. These are just actually backs of some stuff I bought. Beautiful colors, real estate magazines. If you can get a real estate magazine out there, look at the colors. That's what you're going for, is the colors. Lifestyle magazines. These are out and about. Very interesting, great ads, wonderful colors. That's what we're looking for. And again, we all have those newspapers we pick up. Pick up newspapers. Newspapers make great beads. They are very thin, so you might have to use a little bit extra paper, but they make great beads. So those are kind of my concepts and ideas for beads. I'm kind of one of those crazy people. I walk around, I look at papers. If I see something in the grocery store, I might buy something only because of the packaging has such wonderful colors. As we get going here, I'm showing you these beads how to make. They're actually will be finished in about 3 steps. This step right here, I don't know if you can see it. This is the first step. This is the bead when it has been glued and completed. It's okay the way it is, but I like to put finishing on it, and I like to do the ends in a gold or even a silver. And these are acrylics, and I'll show you how I dip them in a gold and a silver to finish the ends. As you make your beads, this is kind of a fun thing. You can do this while you're sitting in the car, while you're watching TV, while you're just trying to relax, anything along this line. These beads here, you can make a lot, as you can kind of see. These beads here, I have dipped. I don't know if you can see them. I'll put them on the paper plate here. But they've kind of already been dipped in the gold on the edges. Oops, dropped that one, on the edges. So they look a little bit more finished. Toss those in a bag. Keep them for another time. So when you're ready to do the final finish on them, and here we go. These beads, can you hear them? These are hard. These have already been dipped and they're ready to go. These I've actually dipped in a polyurethane, which is, this is a polyurethane here. If you're going to be doing a lot of beads, go ahead and buy one. I like the high gloss for my beads. You can get the thick high gloss. Once they dry, they are definitely ready. They're bead worthy, ready to go. If you're only going to do a few beads, get some nail polish. When they reach this stage, after you've covered them with the gold on the ends, go ahead and use just the nail polish if you're not going to be doing a lot of beads. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to make the paper bead. Your paper beads will start with rectangles or triangles. If you would like your beads to be exactly the same, then you're going to make yourself a triangle and then cut the same triangle, use that one as a stencil and go over and over and over again. But I'm going to go ahead and start. I tore this out of the magazine. I love the green colors. So I want to make sure the green colors do show. So I'm going to go ahead first off and start a rectangle about an inch thick. So off I go. And there we have it. It's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to become a really great bead. So let's go ahead and start. And I'm going to go ahead and start from this corner here and go to this corner over here. Therefore, I've got 2 triangles made out of this rectangle. So here I go. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it might not be perfect. That's okay. I'm primarily just going for the color. Now this is going to be more of a rectangle type bead. So as you kind of see in my bracelet here, kind of this style here. Start out, make sure the color you want showing is on the outside. Start out by wrapping. Go ahead and using my needle. I'm wrapping it carefully. Wrap it so it kind of all balances together. The sides kind of touch, but just for the first start, make the sides touch. And you can see it's kind of right like this. So I add a little dot of glue here. Oops, my glue is going to be opened up here. Add a little dot of glue here. And you can add little dots all the way down if you want. Just make sure that you do have the glue there. Don't make it too wet. I just had the mistake of making it too wet and I couldn't get the bead off. So start winding it with your hands. You'll get used to the wind yourself. Winding it, and you want to make sure that this little point here ends up in the middle of your bead. So wind it, and you can see the pretty colors are coming on. Keep winding it. Once you get into this, you're going to do many of these all at one time. I'm winding it, and see the beautiful colors are still in there, and you don't even realize. It shows some of the letters there, but I'm absolutely loving the colors on the side. Make sure you add good glue right on the very end. Good glue on the very end. It's okay if it oozes out a little bit. That's okay. And kind of work through, and there you have your nice rectangular bead. The bead slid off very easily. Nice rectangular bead. So I'm going to go ahead and put this bead right here. We have another bead right here. And this one right here, I think I want the same style, but I want to make a little bit thicker. So I've got my one section right here. Because I want the bead to be a little bit thicker, I'm going to cut it down just a little ways here. And kind of toss that to the side. So it's shorter, but I want to go ahead and start right here to make my little teeny triangle so it becomes thicker. So kind of take a good measurement there and then cut it so it's a real long skinny. And this will make your bead rounder and a bit thicker. See how skinny that's becoming? A skinny And you're going to kind of put those together right like that. So a big, long, skinny triangle. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to dot this a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and put it together. Just kind of put it together right like that. Push it a little bit and it should be fine. If it falls apart while you're working, that's okay. Glue it together again. And here I've got my triangle. You kind of see this side's kind of cockamamie a little bit. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the beauty of the beads. So here I go starting again. I'm going to actually, well, I think I'm going to try to do it your way so you can see it a little bit better. Wind it down, and I'm going to add my glue, my little dots of glue, dot, dot. Do it dotted a little bit all the way down. You can always add more dots. Start winding it. Oh, let's slipped a little bit. Start winding it. I'm doing it backwards for myself so you can see. So that's what's slipping a little bit. Oh, let me get it started. There we go. It's winding. I can feel the glue right there, so that's good. You want to make sure you do use glue with your paper. It kind of meshes that paper together really, really well. I'm feeling the glue. Is it winding down? Can you see it wind? Now let me add a little more glue here. And I'm winding it. And that's where I had joined it. You can kind of see where it joined, but it doesn't matter. Kind of wind it. Make sure that point stays to the middle. And it's becoming a thicker bead. See how that comes down? Now make sure when you've got your little pieces like this, you do have good glue on there. And wind it. Now this, see how it kind of comes to a point right there? That bead itself has a little bit thicker dimension. Go ahead and slide it off. Now when I slide this off, I see these edge right here is kind of very thin. And this feels very thin. That's because it was a little cockamamie. That's okay. You can cut it off. Cut that thin spot off. And let it fly across the room there. Cut that thin spot off. And there you go. You've got a more consistent bead. And it's quite thick. You see the bead right there? Now that actually is going to be almost, we're going to actually dip these ones a little bit later, but that is actually a little bit thicker. But let's go ahead and do a round bead. Now the round bead itself is going to take a little bit more paper. So I'm going to go ahead and actually do, I'm going to make 2 rectangles. They're going to be a little bit off because I didn't cut the other ones straight. And another rectangle. As you can see, I'm not good with my rectangles, but that's okay. So go ahead and glue these rectangles together where they might match up. Okay, right here, I'm going to glue this here. Stretch it over, glue this piece here. And there you've got your nice big long cockamamie rectangle. At this point here, do go ahead and make it a better rectangle so it's a little bit more even. Save your extra pieces of paper. Just shove them to the side in case you might need them. Okay, this rectangle here, I trim this side a little bit. Okay, big long rectangle. Has a little bit of a swerve, but I can work around that. Now again, this is when you're going to make your big, long, skinny triangles. So start from the top at this corner, go all the way down to this corner and make a rectangle on 2 rectangles. But these ones here, I'm going to cut in a little bit more toward the middle because I want to make sure that I've got this nice and round, and I might have to add another piece of paper. One thing good about working with paper, it's cheap, it's easy, and you can throw it away if you don't like it, or you can continue to add on. And see how my triangle right here, it's definitely thicker here, but I didn't go to a direct point. That's because I want to make it really, really round. And I might be adding on the very back what I had cut off previously. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to very quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this one. Add my glue. And continue on. Now, some of these right here, see the colors back through here? I did it kind of in reverse than what I wanted, but that's okay because these beads are all going to match up because they came from the same, pretty much the same color scheme. Add some dots all the way down. I'm wrapping. And see, it's kind of slipping a little bit there, but that's okay. You just keep pulling it tight. As you can kind of see, it's going down. Make sure it kind of stays toward the middle. Everything stays toward the middle, and you continue down. Twist it. Stay in the middle. Twist it. Stay in the middle there. And you see how it's building out? And there's, you can see where I added. That's okay. Just add a little more glue here, going down, dot, dot, dot. Twist it. Add a little bit more. I'm going to just kind of spread that. I had a little too much glue. Twist it. See how thick that one is because I used 2 triangles. So it's actually about 22 inches long was the paper when I was all complete. Because I took the 8.5 by 11, cut the 11-inch strips, glued them together. You can make really tiny beads by teeny tiny triangles. See how this one is more? It's more around the roundish shape. So I really want to make it kind of round. So this is a piece that I had cut off, and I'm kind of measuring it here. Yep, it's still about the same width there that all of that is. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it on. Just dot it through. Where's my colors? I like my colors on this side to show. Add it on and just start wrapping again. Start twisting it down. You can mix and match different papers, so your bead becomes extremely interesting. See how that's going? Wrap it down. A little more dotting of the glue. Wrap it down. See, it's becoming rounder and rounder, and that's good. So we're going to continue our rolling, and see how it's rolling and becoming thicker and thicker. I'm kind of loving that because it's becoming almost a round bead, and this fly wants to stay around. So I've got a little bit of glue there on the end, and it's becoming very round. This fly wants to stay around. And there we have a little bit more of a round bead. Now I still want to get it even rounder. So pick up another little piece. This is one of my scraps. See, this is a little bit thick there from when I ended. So I'm going to trim it down just a bit more to make it skinnier. Start at the fat and trim it down just a little bit more. And add it to it. So here I'm just going to add my little glue. This side here it ends with a white, but I want to end it with a green. See how the green on the bottom? So let's go ahead and add the glue here. And just stick it on there and start wrapping it again till it comes all the way down. Now when you do add on, sometimes it does a little bit of slippage, but that's okay. The glue dries enough to make it tacky enough. So let's see how that is going. That's winding down, winding. And when you do this, you can start going really fast. Once you get into it and you really do it more and more, see how fast I'm starting to go. Add a little more green. Glue, excuse me, a little more glue to make this green show. Twist it and twist it. Now, as you do these beads, make sure that you can move this bead up and down a little bit because you don't want to make it sure, you don't want it to stick to your knitting needle or your pencil or whatever you're using. But look at that bead. It ends with a beautiful green color, and it's just an amazing bead. It doesn't look a bit like paper. Slide it off. It slid off well, but look how it's kind of funny, a little bit softer on the top. I can cut that off, or I can just squeeze it and push it in. And that's what I did. I squeezed this and pushed it in. So now you have a perfect round bead. Can you see that? Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. And that bead is going to dry with those other two beads. Now I do want to show you fabric is done exactly the same way, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But this is a bead I did with fabric. The same way. And that one there, you're going to see the texture of the fabric. And if that's what you want, it's beautiful. So I'm going to throw that in there. We're going to work on that a little later. Now I am going to go ahead, because I did eat these on purpose, just so I could actually use this to show you how to make a bead. I'm going to go ahead and make a bead out of this one. Now these might be a little bit longer, so your beads are going to be a little bit thicker. This is thicker. This is longer, so your bead's going to be a little thicker. First thing you're going to do, of course, just like usual, is go ahead and cut your rectangle. Oh, I don't know how much of a thickness I want, so I'm going to go about 1 inch again. Oh, maybe a 3/4 inch. It's a little bit. And I'm not very good with my straight edge, but that's okay. These little rough edges, trim them off. Now you are going to have to use a lot of glue when you're using something like a cardboard, because the cardboard itself will have to stick a little bit. If you choose to use some paper that you decorated yourself, go ahead and if you use some permanent markers on that, use some crayons on that to color up some paper, just stick it the colors you want. That's okay. Just remember, sometimes things don't stick with the glue very well. Crayons do not stick with glue very well. So have a lot of open paper space so it will stick. Here I am with my rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and cut a bit of a triangle. And this triangle is going to be kind of really skinny, so this is going to be kind of a big bead. It's thicker paper, and it's long. And again, when you've got a bead like this, don't cut to a perfect point, almost, but not quite. See, look at these right here. Here's kind of my triangular shape. Not the best triangles, but they'll work. So I'm going to start here. And when you have cardboard, go ahead and kind of wiggle with it a little bit because you want it to be soft. So wiggle it around, pull it, make it curl, twist it, make it soft, because if it's too hard, it won't make a good bead. Here I go, I'm ready to start. I'm going to go ahead and start my rolling here. Roll it over. Make sure once you roll it once, you start adding a little more glue than normal. I've got it rolling. Stay to the middle. Stay to the middle as you roll it. Keep it going. Stay to the middle. It rolls itself on down. Stay to the middle. I'll keep saying this because I have to remind myself all the time too. Here I come, just making the dots, going all the way down. Here we go with a bead. See how thick that one is? Because I'm using the cardboard. Dot it through. Dot it through and roll it. Keep rolling. This one here, because it is so long, it's becoming more of a circular, but that's okay. Look how it's rolling down. I love the colors on this one, the turquoise, the teals on this. That's why I kind of picked it with the accents. And I know especially when I start dipping it or using it for a bracelet, it's going to be amazing. Now right here, dip it down. And I'm going to finish it up. See how that is kind of a flattened? That's okay. I like it. You're going to have to hold it. Look at that bead. Look at the colors on that one. That one is pretty amazing. If I didn't like the colors, I thought it was too bland, I would go ahead and take one of the piece of papers that I'd cut out of a magazine and add it to the top. Twist it over the top to add more color. But the colors on this one, look at that there. Now make sure it presses itself tight, slide it off. It's a gorgeous bead. Look at that. And set it off to dry. Now, when you do all of this, you're going to end up with a lot of beads, just like I've ended up with many of these beads. Look at all these beads that I have done, and those are all ready to be dipped. Now, when I dip, I'm going to go ahead and start with the paper. I'm going to finish with the paper before I start with the fabrics. Save these little pieces here. What I do if I'm going on a trip, I'll cut a bunch of little triangles and I'll just put them in a jar or a plastic tub and I'll take them with me. So we're going to take some of these here and I'm going to show you how we do the dipping. Put these over to the side. Now at this point here, I had a paper plate. Here's my paper plates. Take a paper plate. You're going to put in the paper plate when you're done with them. This has a bit of a wax coating. Don't use a paper plate that doesn't have a wax coating, or you can use a plate covered in foil or parchment paper for your beads to dry on. At this point in time, you're going to take a little bit of, shake it up real good, your acrylic, and dot. Just make a little dot. Go ahead and pour a little bit right in there. You're going to get dirty, but that's okay. You're supposed to get dirty when you do a craft. Shake a little bit of this one here. And I'll make a decision if I want to go with the gold. Pour your gold out. Here's my little gold or silver. You can mix and match. It does not really even matter. Now I'm going to take my bead. I used to take a paintbrush and paint the ends of absolutely every single one, but it does not. It takes forever. So you're going to take and just dip it. So I'm going to dip this in the gold. I dipped it in the gold. Kind of blow on it to pop that hole and dip the other side. Dip it in the gold. There we go. That one is done. Now, sometimes if it gets sloppy, you'll have like a big drop here, a big drop there. That's okay. Just kind of roll your bead a little bit, spread it around. It's okay if some of that gold and that silver spreads over the colors. I think it makes it even more interesting. Drop it. Just drop it. Drop it in there on your plate and let it go ahead and let it dry. Take another one. Dip it. Make sure the hole. Blow the hole open. This is in the silver right here. Blow it open. That bead is going to be gorgeous. Look at that bead. The blues, the whites, the silvers. Drop it, let it dry. With your fabric, fabric is the same way. You don't have to do this with a fabric, but I like to do it with the fabric. I think it adds a little more interest to it. So I'm going to drop it in the gold. Blow the hole. Make sure that hole is blown open. Oh, that one, see how that one there? It didn't do very good. So I'm going to do it again. Nice and thick. There you go. Let it go. Let it dry. Those are all ready. Again, here we go here. We just did this bead here, and it is dried pretty good. This is with the cardboard, remember? I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the silver. See how it only did a little bit right there? Go ahead and do as much as you want. I want it more. Kind of roll your beads. See how it kind of moved around and it's not perfect? That's okay. I don't want it perfect. So go ahead and take your bead and roll it around in some of the leftovers there so it kind of puts the silver all the way around it. So it makes it look like it's supposed to be modeled in that fashion. This bead, see the silver I've kind of put all the way around it? It's going to make it like it's supposed to be. Let it dry. Throw it in, let it dry. And I could do all of these all day. And I'd have quite a few. I'd have more than just a bag here. Now, when you're done with all of these right here and you're ready to go ahead and dip them in the poly, we're going to do that. But first, I'm going to show you how to do some of the fabric beads. This here, I'm just going to kind of move under here and stick these plates together because I just want to get them out of my way. And put those right there. Now, when you're working with fabric, fabric has a lot of dimension to it. This here was a piece of a blanket. That, of course, the dog kind of tore up a little bit. I washed it, I bleached it, and this is the piece of it that kind of came out. My beads themselves, I did roll and did some beads out of those. Here's my bead right here, kind of stick to show you a little bit. And I like the dimension of that bead. I like the fact that it has all those rough edges. It kind of reminds you of a felt bead. That bead there, I did okay. Here is actually a burgundy bead. I like that. And what's good about these beads, the fabric beads and the paper beads, they are so light. If you were going to do a ceramic bead or a blown glass bead, they're kind of heavy, but they're beautiful. Again, these beads are ready to go. These I'm not going to dip, but I'm going to toss them over there. You can coat them with a polyurethane. Usually the fabrics I choose not to because I like to see more of the dimension into them. Here, one right here is a red one that I had done. You kind of see it right there. That one has the silver already dipped on it. And that one is actually ready for the polyurethane. Toss it right here. Different beads. This, okay, we already looked at that bead. This bead here I find very interesting. This bead here, I took two fabrics, put them together and made my beads. You can add embellishments to them. This one here, I rolled in a bead, added an embellishment. When you put all of these together, you line them together, you have an amazing looking bracelet. You'll have an amazing piece of jewelry or art piece. So just kind of fun along that line. This piece here, this was a totally different fabric that had embroidery on it, and I liked it nice and fuzzy. So I rolled my bead and left it nice and fuzzy. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of show you the fabric beads themselves. Now I'm going to go ahead and use, this is a thicker weave. This looks to me, when I got this, I went to a garage sale and I bought a bag full of fabric pieces for $1. I'm one of those people, I have to stay away from those garage sales. So here we go. It's already got a big cutout out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut a triangle, not a rectangle, but just go ahead and cut a triangle out of this fabric. Now I'm going to end it kind of a little bit wider than a triangle in case I want to add an extra piece, whether it be a paper piece or a fabric piece. So I'm going to cut it, this one here, about 1/2 inch. Head it on down to make that triangle. I don't know if you can see me cutting that triangle. But look at what we've got here. I like the texture of this fabric. It's a real thick woven. The thicker weave on a, of course, the thicker weave you're going to have on a piece of fabric, the thicker you're going to have the bead. So I'm going to start again, and I'm going to roll it. Add your glue. Now you're going to think, okay, this glue is Elmer's glue. It's going to kind of dissipate after a while. Not when you've got it coated. You never really put your jewelry in water. You don't swim with jewelry. Not with a good fabric jewelry or a good bead, paper bead jewelry. You're not going to swim with that. So you really, it's kind of a mute issue. This fly really loves us today, I think. He wants to learn how to do beads. So we're rolling it again, adding more glue, rolling it down, rolling it down. See, the bead is forming. Rolling it down. Go away, fly. Rolling it down. And again, it's got some of those little rough edges popping out, and I kind of like that. Rolling it down. And here it comes. And the bead, you're going to have to hold the end just a little bit because this is fabric. If you don't have time to hold that just a little bit, you can go ahead and use a hot glue gun if you really want. But look at that bead. That bead, I like the little rough edges showing. I think it's really important to see all of that. We have a fly that's a friend. And there we go. That is your bead right there. Now, do I want to go ahead and dip those edges? I don't think so. I like it just the way it is. But I might want to add a little embellishment to that. If you're kind of like me, you keep little extra things along the side. I always keep some extra beads from home. I always have little extra beads. And you're going to actually, oops, there it kind of came undone. We'll add a little more glue to that one, make it stick better. Roll it. Hold it a little bit. These beads, you can add your glue around it and dip it into there, or just put some on the table. We already used some over here. Let's just move these out of the way. These are drying, but that's okay. Pour some of your beads on a paper plate. Your bead is still going to be pretty wet. This one still doesn't want to stick very well, but we'll make them stick. Hold it tight for a few minutes. And you're going to go ahead and just dot some glue on this, all over this. Now before you take this off, oops, before you take this off, make sure you've got all the embellishments on it you might want. So I'm going to go ahead and dip this. My paper plate edges are kind of in the way. Kind of dip it and roll it. And you're going to get some beautiful textures in there. This one little section doesn't want to stick, but just hold it a second. Add these in there. It doesn't want to stick like that, so I'm just going to dot the glue on top of it. And pour these on top and let them stick. Let the beads stick and kind of go from there. And that actually is how we did the bead like this. So it's ready to go. See how pretty that is with the beads on it? It's dried, it's ready to go. Now, if you have a bead that is glued on there, you will kind of need to dip it with a polyurethane or paint the polyurethane over the beads just to keep them on. Now, I am a seamstress. I would also sew the beads on if I wanted to. But we're not doing that today because a lot of you are not seamstresses. I don't know if you are or not, but we're just kind of showing you the simple way to do all this. Put it on and go from there. Go all the way around and put it on. So let's slide it off and let it dry. Leave it over to dry. If you got it all dry and it's got a little bit of a rough edge on it you don't want, just cut it off. Just go ahead and cut it off. Move this one out of the way. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and get a different fabric here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to, I loved this yellow fabric that I had. This again is one that came out of, it's a little rough on the edges, but look at the colors that it's got. This piece was already kind of cut into a rectangle. So I'm going to make that a triangle. I want to make sure when I do my bead that I've kind of got this red kind of showing because I like kind of that red look. So cut my rectangle. I like small scissors. Other ones might have better fabric scissors, but these little small ones have always done me well and I kind of like them. But this here, I'm going to actually kind of show you using wire, adding some wire to it. Now, when you have wire, you can add a lot of extra embellishments to the fabric ones. So let's go ahead and get started on rolling. We've got the red showing there. Start rolling. I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. I got my glue a little too close there to that. I don't want it to stick. As you're going, if your glue is landing on your stick or your needle, make sure you pull it off a little bit and rub it because you want to make sure that you don't have it stick permanently. See the texture it's got going there as I roll it? Again, you want to make sure all of that kind of goes to the middle. Your middle point lands in the middle. So add more glue all the way down. You kind of see it. I like that red, those colors kind of showing on the side. Again, you're rolling it. You're rolling it. And this is coming. See how it's kind of ending to the middle there? Look how thick and nice that bead is. That bead there, glued, came out very nice right like that. Very, very nice. It's ready to go. Now, I do want to do with this bead, I want to add some embellishments maybe. So I'm going to take a piece of wire. Give it a good length on your wire. This is inexpensive wire. Give it a good length, cut it off, and use my scissors. You're going to wrap it, kind of find the middle point. Just wrap it once, and then twist it. Can you see the twist? I twisted. Now, before you take this off here, go ahead and add your embellishments. I'd already poured some beads down there. I've got extra beads I always use I'm one of these. I love beads. I've got lots of beads. I'm going to pour some more, mix in there. And you're just going to take and you're going to start picking up your beads. Kind of point them in there, pick up your beads if you can see that. Put it on there. Your bead kind of pops up around there. And let your beads slide down. I've got beads right there. I want my beads to go all the way around. So I'm going to do a lot. So as you can see, I kind of just push it along the point and it kind of pops right in there. You can use thick wire, thin wire, brass, anything you really want. You can use thread, but you're going to be threading with a needle if you want to thread these beads. Popping those beads on, sliding them down. There I go. Oh, that one's not coming, but this one will. This one already slid into the silver. I don't mind. You can use buttons. You can use almost anything when you're doing your beads. See, the beads are on there. I'm going to wrap it, see how much further I've got. And I'm pretty much all the way around. So you're going to take it at this point and just twist it. And your bead is on there. Now go ahead, and you're going to go ahead and cut these down, of course making them smaller. And fold it into your bead. But make sure your points point right into the fabric so you don't poke anybody or anything later on. And there we have it. See how beautiful that bead is? Already embellished, ready to go. Slide it off and put it in your pile. Now those are all pretty much ready to go. Those beads themselves. These ones were dipped. As you can see, the silver on my hands. You can actually make a rectangle and add your little triangles, and you've got a double bead. So there's many ways to do this. Now I want to go ahead and show you how to go ahead and dip a bead. Now we've got beads here. Your best friend right now is going to be, to do this, is going to be a paper clip. Now the paper clip itself, what you can do, as we've got, these beads are drying, these beads right here, they have their finish. These beads are ready to be finished. So I'm going to actually, I've got a couple beads here. I'm going to put this bead on, and I'm going to slide another bead on. See, they're two totally different beads. But because I put them on here, my paper clip, I'm going to clip onto a cardboard box, the side of my plastic tray here. Just make sure it fits. And this is how these things are going to dry. Just clip them on right like that, and they're going to dry. You hang them to dry. Right here, I can show the dimension here. This might be a little bit easier. Show it right here. Clip it on the side. Oops. Point it out a little bit. Point it up a bit. So they don't slip off. And there, that is how they're going to dry. Hang them on something to let them dry. If you're going to be using nail polish, very easily, you're going to coat them with the nail polish and let them dry. If you are going to be using polyurethane. If you're only doing a few, dip your paintbrush in here, paint each one individually. If you're going to be doing a lot, take this right here, make sure your end here kind of tips up a little bit so the bead doesn't fall off. And you're going to dip it in the polyurethane, bring it right back out, and hang it to dry. That way you can do a lot of beads at once. Pretty simple on that. I wanted to make sure I touch base on that one really, really quick for you guys. I'm going to put this right over here. Now, we also have sometimes when we have a fabric that doesn't hold itself really well, you can use little rubber bands. Take your little rubber band right here. You can get these at the dollar store. You're going to take your little rubber band and you're just going to actually kind of put it over your bead, right, like if it's still on, right like this, put it over your bead and just let it stick. You might like the color and add a bunch of rubber bands to make it to your bead because you like the color and makes it pretty. There you go, and make it forever. However, do remember rubber bands do rot, they do fall off, they do drop, so they're not going to last forever. So we're going on from that point there. So you have learned how to make a lot of different varied beads. One thing, I am going to show you how to do the double bead real quick, and then we're going to kind of conclude. Now making the double bead, go ahead and get your paper that you want. Oh, what kind of paper am I going to use today? Okay. This right here, I got it at the grocery store. I'm one of these. Yes, I do steal magazines from the doctor's office. I'm one of those. Tear off the paper you want. And you're going to, again, make your rectangle. I'm going to make my rectangle here just a little bit under an inch. And this is going to give your bead a bit of an hourglass shape. I need that there. Do another one. about an inch. Excuse me, that was just a hair less than an inch. And another one, just a hair less than about a ½ inch. Once you get going on these, it'll be in your mind exactly how you're doing it, and you won't ever have to double think. Now, this has some beautiful colors on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and it doesn't really matter on this side because it's going to be kind of a base. Go ahead and just make a rectangle bead. Roll it. And with making the rectangle bead, again, you're just, as you can see, I'm just kind of rolling and make sure it slides real well. Make sure it just kind of makes that nice rectangle, and this is going to be the base. Dot it down a little bit. I got my glue going. Roll it. Here we go, I'm rolling it. It's got glue on it still, so I'm still pretty good. Showing the lavender on the outside. I'm kind of loving that lavender look. I'd almost want to leave it just a rectangle bead off that rectangle paper. Nice little round tube. Make sure it's a nice and tight one. There you go. Now go ahead and just squeeze it around to make sure it holds, which is holding very nicely. And it's got a good thickness to it. So here I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this one here in half, this one, because it's going to be a double bead. This one here, take both ends and see, do they go ahead and do they match up pretty good? They're a little bit long, but once I get going on it, I think it's going to disappear. Now from these two here, go ahead and make your tiny triangle. Cut this into skinny triangles. From one corner to the other corner. There we go. This one again, I'm going to hold this one, push this to the side. When I line these two side by side, I want to make sure side by side they don't overhang too much, but they don't. So start with one, add it two, but you're going to add it only to the top side. I'm going to call this the right side, the top side. Only add it to that side. So you're going to go circle all the way through and roll it only on that side, just like you had the other ones. You rolled your regular bead, just roll on that side. It's all sticking onto it. Let me add more glue. Roll it on. See how it's rolling? And I'm sticking only to one side. One side's getting fatter. And I want that hourglass shape on this bead. That's why I'm doing it one side. See, it's starting to form that hourglass. And the hourglass is not quite as thick as I want. So I'm going to go ahead and add again to it. Now, I ended with kind of a really skinny side, so I'm going to have to cut this one and make it skinnier. All the way down to a tiny triangle again. Which is okay because now I've got an extra piece that I'm going to need for that other side. I'm cutting it. So I'm just kind of concentrating on this so I don't cut my fingers as I do this. So if I stop talking, I'm concentrating. There we go. Now I've got my skinny side. See how skinny that is. Add to it. It's still kind of sticky with glue, so just kind of add to it. Just put it right where you ended. And add more glue to this little piece here. Slide it down. Now you can do these and just cut a rectangle where the triangle's attached to it, but I find if I do these in steps, it's so much easier and the colors are so much nicer. See how it's rolling? I'm rolling it and it's becoming thicker and thicker. What a beautiful bead that's becoming. Look at that. Thicker and thicker. See, you can see the dimension on that. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the triangle. Here's my little skinny piece here. This is the other side of the rectangle that I cut. I'm going to cut my 2 triangles out of this. Again, start in the end, one corner to the opposite corner. Make your skinny triangle. And here I'm going to get started. I know I'm already going to be adding this extra skinny piece to it, so I'm just going to lay that and push these to the side. So here I'm going to add right here, add it right to there on the very end. To the very end and start my rolling. Well, here's the piece I needed right there to start with. Right here, I thought it was a little bit too thick. Start my rolling. Kind of keep it, of course, you want it all to end on this side. This is making that an hourglass shaped bead. All beads do not have to be perfect, remember, especially with paper, because you can always cut and trim. It's add, here we go, continuing on. It's ending kind of in the middle there. All right, adding my last little piece here. Remember I had cut that extra one to make it thicker. So you can really kind of see a dimension. See that bead is taking shape, a different shape. Got that fly that still wants to stay around us today because it doesn't like that cold weather too much. Here we're going. We're wrapping. I'm breaking out that little end because I don't want the white to be on that one side, so throw your little end away. And there we go. We have an hourglass shaped bead. Can you see that? So there's different dimensions and ways you can do this, but if you're going to do a different shape on it, start with that perfect tube, that rectangle piece of paper. So off we shall go. So that is, put that to the side to dry. Make your stack of papers at home. Get your birthday cards, get your Christmas cards, holiday cards. Those are amazing colors, perfect beads. Again, you can use these beads to make something that is actually, something that really a family member would really, really love. You can take a wedding dress or a baptismal gown that came from your grandmother. You can cut from that fabric and make everybody a beautiful bead bracelet in your family. Or you can use a birth announcement, you can use a wedding invitation, a birthday invitation, a graduation invitation. Make a bead out of it, and it's a perfect gift. It really means a lot to somebody that you've taken that time and that effort. I did make a beaded bracelet for actually our oldest daughter. Her dog had passed away. I made a bead bracelet. I cut out the letters of the dog's name and glued them to the top of each bead. Very emotional day for her. She absolutely loved it. So you can make beautiful gifts for other people. You can make beautiful, beautiful art pieces. I've got a piece I'm working on right now that is going to be a massive bead that is actually going to be painted after the fact. So you can make beautiful different arts. This just opens your mind, opens your relaxations, just gives you different options and choices to explore the arts. So I hope you enjoyed that today. If you have any questions, please call me here at the gallery. They can relay the questions to you. Whoop. Just take that fly when you get it out of here, and we can go a little bit further. So enjoy your day. It's a beautiful autumn day. Perfect time to make beads. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.